Hello, my name is Mark Wilson, and for the past few weeks I've been researching President Trump's handling of the coronavirus, specifically what he said in the early days. Now, little white lies, I think you'll agree, are harmless, but they are best kept out of life and death situations. For instance, if you were in a hospital visiting a loved one, you wouldn't want the doctor to sugarcoat anything, tell you everything's going to be fine. You'd want to know the truth, however difficult that may be, so that you can plan accordingly, act accordingly, and do what's necessary. This is the problem many Americans face when they think about Trump and his blatant lies to the nation back in February of this year. On the 27th of February, President Trump addressed the nation. He said it's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. Now, this statement directly affected the way I chose to handle the coronavirus pandemic, and no doubt affected the way many Americans chose to go about their business. One person in particular this angered was Bob Woodward. And he actually wrote a book on Trump's handling of the coronavirus. So I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about that. And also we're going to hear some details about a fellow American and her struggles and her loss with the due to Trump's actions and the virus. And finally, we'll hear from President Trump in his defense. So back in February, President Trump was warned this will be the biggest threat he will face in his presidency from the National Security Advisor, Robert O'Brien. He was also warned by the Deputy National Security Advisor that this will be a worldwide pandemic on par with the 1918 flu pandemic, which killed 50 million. So he knows this is going to be a big problem. So 10 days after being informed this, Trump picks up the phone to Bob Woodward to fill him in on the severity of the pandemic. He says, "You just breathe air. That's how it's passed. This is deadly stuff." And he repeats that for emphasis. So just to give you a little background information on Bob Woodward, he's a highly venerated reporter and editor of the Washington Post since 1971. He's no stranger to publishing political books and has done many previous books on other presidents. His latest book, Rage, focuses mostly on President Trump's handling of the coronavirus. It was released September the 15th and calls on hundreds of interviews, first-hand accounts, confidential emails. So it's very well fact-checked, if you will. So I said we're going to hear a little bit from a fellow American who's been affected as well. And that fellow American is Christina Orgiza. And she lost her father due to COVID-19. She was thrust into media attention when she delivered a very strong worded obituary at her father's funeral. She says, "We're taught to follow our leaders, especially in a time of crisis. For people like my dad, he trusted Donald Trump." Now she's referring to when President Trump told us all we had nothing to worry about. He didn't tell us to wear masks. So her 65-year-old father has gone out, trusting what President Trump has said, ultimately caught coronavirus and died. So she's calling for his resignation. So you can find all the details on that in the article titled "Woman Who Lost Her Father to COVID-19 Says Trump Should Resign After Downplaying the Virus." It was written by Maria Paletta and can be found on MSN's political news website, dated the 10th of September. So since then, Trump has been working hard. He's been updating us, daily throughout the worst of the pandemic. But with the elections coming up, he's been forced to defend himself against these allegations. So on the 9th of September, he addresses the nation from the White House, covered by ABC News, and Trump tells the nation he's a cheerleader for the country. And still to this day, he likes to downplay the pandemic. He doesn't want to invoke panic and fear in everyone. While on the surface that might seem like a good reason, when it comes, like I said before, in these life and death situations, we need to know the truth so we can act accordingly. So President Trump lied about the severity of the virus, and many do hold him responsible. My intention with this speech has not been to sway your political views one way or the other. But I think you'll agree with me with whatever political views that you hold, we must all pull together in this time of crisis and continue to show consideration to others and not take that choice away from them. Thank you.